Are you looking for a way to make a quick buck? Or are you more interested in generating real wealth for the rest of your life? Stay tuned because today I want to unpack what I would call a real side hustle is and how it can generate real long term wealth. There is just a ton of videos out there talking about side hustles, and even more videos that I would classify as debunking side hustle videos from YouTube money gurus. I mean, there's a ton of them out there. I'm Frank Thomas from Wealth Generation Strategies, and I want to define what a successful side hustle looks, smells, tastes, is, and how it can generate real money, and even better, how you can make it happen for yourself. So I think the very first question to ask here is, are you in it for a quick and easy buck, or are you really serious about becoming financially wealthy? And this is a very valid question. This is the reason why I ask it. I had somebody approach me years ago. They were in a bit of a bind. I had volunteered to teach them how to perform a particular skill because I knew they could make a few bucks doing it. They were like, oh, no, I'm busy. And then one day I got a phone call from this person, and they phoned me up and said, oh, I'm a bit of a bind. I need to make a few bucks. Hey, can you spend 10 minutes with me and teach me everything you know about this particular topic? I was actually a little bit miffed. I actually said to the person, you know something? When I came to you before you were in trouble, you were not interested. But now that you're in trouble, you just want a quick and easy fix. You want a microwave fix. Sorry, but this is not a microwave fix. Most of the side hustles, and I'll be honest with you today, most of the side hustles I get involved in are not microwave fixes. They are long-term, cook it in the oven, and pull it out and have a real meal, wealth-generating opportunity. Okay, if you're still here and you're serious, then this video is for you. By the way, I've watched a lot of these videos that criticize other videos and they say they don't work and that side hustle's a joke. But you know something? Unless you become an expert in that area, you're not going to get it. You're not going to make it work. But I am getting a little ahead of myself. Let's get started. First off, I want you to dig into your life and see what itch you can scratch for yourself. In other words, what is something you can't find a product or a solution for that's bugging you? It could be something easy, could be something hard, but basically you're going to try to scratch your own itch and try to find a solution for your problem. But the whole idea here is you're going to start to create a framework of your product that will solve your problem. And you got to look deep. I remember listening to a story about the Italian immigrants that came to the New World in the 1940s, 1950s. They would come and they'd say they'd see money lying on the street. Now you got to understand why they said this. They came from a place where there was little opportunity, little money, and little of anything for them to get involved in. And when they came to the New World, they saw opportunities everywhere. And to them, it was like picking up money off the street. And they proved it. And this leads me to my next point. This will require hard work. And it may take some time to get it to come together. I'm going to let you in on a product I created a number of years ago. It was a software product, so it was in my billowhack. I wasn't really a software developer at the time, but I had an itch I wanted to scratch, and I found a problem that I wanted to resolve because I knew that it was a good thing. So what I did was I decided to start digging into it, and first of all, I started becoming an expert in that area. How to make it work, what tools could I use, what solutions are already out there, and I found a lot of crappy solutions, but not any good ones. So that spoke opportunity to me. But it took time for me to start making this whole idea come together. If you've decided you're going to solve your particular problem, you're going to find a way to do it one way or another. Don't be afraid to discuss your problem with others. That's what I did. I actually talked to others who had the same problem, and don't get into this paranoid way of thinking that, oh, somebody's just going to steal my idea. As you become a matter expert in your particular problem, it gets harder and harder and harder for anybody else to take your idea away from you. Why is that? Because it has a cost to get into it, because you paid that cost. You paid that cost to become the matter expert in your particular problem. So don't be afraid to share your ideas with your close associates and ask them, what do they think? You may get some really valuable input from them to help you out solve your problem or make it an even better product or define the solution of your problem. But next, what I want you to do is develop what I like to call a dirty solution. Now, a dirty solution is not worrying about making it pretty. It's all about making it functional. Now, my particular idea that I encountered, what happened was I basically figured out how to do a particular thing at that time. It took me a while. It took me like 6 months to get it to work. So it wasn't a snap my fingers and make it happen solution. It took time. But what happened was I eventually got to this place where I could get my problem resolved and make what I want happen. Now, it was ugly as crap, but it worked. Then what I did was I started to reapproach my close associates and show them my solution and how it solves the problem that I had identified with them. You'll know you've got a potential winner if they're willing to put money into your idea. It can either be as customers or investors. Now, in the beginning, I had a lot of people who were very interested, but they wanted to see more meat behind the idea. Yeah, I got it working, but it was pretty sloppy and pretty messy. But it did work. I did find that I had people who were willing to put some either time or money into the situation to help me out, because I didn't have a job. I didn't have a lot of money coming in at the time. I was making this happen by the skin of my teeth, literally. But you got a potential winner if they're willing to put financial skin into the game. Now, this is the next step, and that is selling your idea. And that's what we've been talking about. Make sure that it can and will be profitable. Many good ideas will not be profitable. People will say, oh, that's such a great idea. And they're thinking in their mind, Frank is crazy. So, you got to really pan your ideas out. You can create the best widget on the planet, but if nobody wants it, then you got something that ain't going to sell. I once created a product that I thought was a great idea, and I sold exactly 0 units of the product, and I put about 3 to 6 months of my life into it. But this particular idea was showing me that people were interested, and more importantly, they were willing to get on board to help me get the word out once I actually had my MVP. Now, I'm going to tell you what my MVP is, but before I do, be sure to sign up for my newsletter. There's a link in the description below. It will contain even more ideas on this topic if you join, and you'll get notification when new videos get rolled out, as well as I do provide lots of extra information. An MVP is not anything other than a minimum viable product. It's a bit prettier than your dirty solution, and it will be marketable. And that's what's important here. Now, you got to think like Bill Gates and Microsoft. In the beginning, when he and his company brought out MS-DOS and later Windows, it was ugly, but it was an MVP and it worked. And that's what was important. Was it Windows 11? No, it was Windows 1. It was DOS, whatever. But it was Windows 1, and that's where they started. They knew that they had time on their hands to make it prettier and prettier and prettier. And look what a big company this has become because of this little product, this little idea. They saw a problem and they found a solution. So you got to think like Microsoft and Bill Gates. You just got to get your MVP put together. And also discover the best way to market your product. And you need to discover what is the right price point. Now, let me tell you, there can be too much money to get into it or too little. Now, you always want your product to be such that if it costs you $10 to make, you're selling it for a slight profit. Okay, let's say $15. But if it costs you $20 to make and you're selling it for $15, you're going to go broke real fast. So you need to find a way to make sure you make money. But on the inverse side, it's got to have more value to the customer than it does for what they're paying for it. In other words, Microsoft Windows is license nowadays is around $200. Is it worth it? It's probably worth way more than that because people use it way more than what $200 would dictate. But because they are able to replicate that product and they've marketed it so well, and it's on so many PCs, that they can sell it at a lower price point and make scads of money on it. So you need to find a way. Another really good example is information products. Sometimes your product is an information product. Sometimes it's a solution to a problem. I'm actually working on a product right now that it's a solution to a problem that's really tough to overcome. And I know once it's done, it's going to be very marketable, but I'm going to make sure I have a price point that makes it very worthwhile for me to sell. You got to think numbers here. The product that I was telling you initially that I had built at the beginning of this video sold over 6,000 copies by the time, it ran out of steam. And I was selling these copies at about $100 a pop. So you do the math. Was it worth my while? I put about 9 months of my life into it, and I got paid handsomely for it. You got to think about the numbers game here. Don't just try to make your profit on the next person. I see so many restaurants go out of business because they're trying to charge way too much for a meal that's just not worth it. And they wonder why they don't have any customers. Makes you think, eh? Okay, so now the next step is you're going to look for ways to scale up your idea as well as to branch to new ideas. Believe it or not, what's going to happen is somebody's going to come to you and say, that's really good. I bought your product, but boy, it would be nice if you had an accompanying product that did this and it would work well with this product. Hey, I made a lot of secondary products doing just that. I was able to scale up, and also too, you might discover that your solution has different levels of clientele. I actually had 3 levels to my piece of software that I developed. There was a basic version, a pro version, and an enterprise version. And they each could do pretty much the same thing, but it's at the scale that it would operate at. And it could do more, it could do it faster, it had more features. And some people were willing to pay more for the professional product or willing to pay more for the enterprise product based upon their needs. And it was still a good deal to them. And as you can guess, the price did go up with the extra features that were presented to them. Also, as you scale up your ideas, don't be afraid to branch out into other faucets. We talked quickly about creating maybe an accompanying product, but also consider training. Consider, like let's say you made a piece of software, consider a training program, or maybe a membership site, or maybe something else like that. And these ideas will scale up and become very, very profitable. Stepping back to the original idea here, a lot of these videos on YouTube are developed by money gurus on YouTube, and a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't work. It's kind of funny because I've actually watched a lot of these videos, and I've heard and watched the debunk videos after the fact, and I could see that in a lot of cases, they didn't get it. The person who does the debunk video just didn't get it. Hey, some ideas are pretty crappy, so you got to test an idea. But what it came down to a lot of times was they had the expertise, they had the willingness, they were scratching their own itch, they were refining their idea, they created an MVP, they developed it into a good-looking product, they made it better and better and better all the time. That's why they were so successful. But in the beginning, they started at the same place as you and me. 0. They started out with just an idea. Now, there is a place called a graveyard. It's loaded with good ideas that never saw the light of day. So be sure to start thinking, start going through your ideas. Think about what are things that are solutions that you feel you can bring to the marketplace. You might be very surprised. It doesn't have to be rocket science. There's a guy in the 60s who painted a rock and called it a pet rock and made millions of dollars, but it was still a rock. But he changed it and he made it a new thing, and he made it so everybody was interested in it. Yeah, it was a fad, absolutely. But it didn't negate the fact that he made a lot of money in the process. You'll find that probably about 90% of the products that hit the marketplace are fads, and 10% stick around. You got to trust me on this one because I've seen it over and over again. Anyhow, I hope you can find yourself a idea that is a successful side hustle. Do investigate, and like I said earlier, all the problems you can see in your life and how you can solve them, and start creating some new products. Frank Thomas here. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you're interested in taking the next step and learning how to find real financial independence, on the screen is a video that's talking about that very topic. So be sure to check it out. Otherwise, thank you for joining me today. We'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.